More and more people are getting discouraged about going out there and trying to buy real estate here in Salt Lake City, in Provo, in Park City, basically anywhere here in northern Utah. I know that a lot of other markets are in a similar spot, so Utah is not alone in that, but people are just tired of going out there and offering $50,000, $60,000, $70,000, even $100,000 over the asking price, waiving contingencies, and they're still not able to get their offer accepted. It's a very discouraging market, but I want to talk about a couple things that you should probably be aware of going forward with how Utah's market is going to react as we continue to go into the future. Now, with that said, if this is your first time to the channel here, my name is Cody Steck. I'm a Salt Lake City realtor. I've helped people from all across the world buy and invest in real estate here in Salt Lake City, Utah, and all of the surrounding areas. I've helped people from across the country. I've helped people from the Middle East, from South Africa, from Asia, literally all around the world move right here to Salt Lake City, Utah. So if you're thinking about doing the same, make sure to get in touch with me. My information is here on the screen. I would love to hear from you. Call me, text me, or email anytime, and I would love to have a chat with you to see what we can do to help you make that potential move here to Utah and any of the surrounding areas. Now, with that said, let's jump into it. Now, as we jump into this, like I said, people are getting discouraged because they're going out there and we're making very, very strong offers. And unfortunately, not all of those offers are getting accepted. Sometimes you're putting in 5, 10, 15. I've even had some clients who are putting in 20 plus offers before being able to get one accepted. Now, this is very discouraging because you might go out there, you might find a house and you say, hey, I really love this house. This is something that I want to buy. And you put in a really, really good offer and you're thinking, why isn't the seller going to accept my offer? Well, it's because they got a better offer. Somebody else is willing to go more than you. So I know that that's a very harsh reality, and there's a couple things I want to talk about here in the video. About where Utah is going, whether or not it still makes sense to buy in Utah, whether you should hold off, whether you should wait till the fall, wait till next year, or, do something else, or maybe just not buy altogether. So the first thing I want to talk about is, yes, we do have an inventory issue. This is the main problem that's causing such a shortage of available homes in the market right now. There's just not enough homes to be able to be sold. Now, part of that is because homes are down because of the pandemic that we had. Not as many people are selling, and there's also an issue with building. The builders are not able to build as much because the commodity prices have gone up so much, and it's become harder to get lumber and concrete, so they can't build as quick. I've got numerous clients right now who are working with new construction builders, and they're just not able to get into these homes as quick as they used to be because the builders are saying, hey, this is going to take 9 to 12 months instead of the normal 6 months that we usually have. So builders are backed up, there's not enough inventory, and what happens is that all of the people who own the condos, the townhomes, the starter homes, all of those people who own those homes and are saying, okay, now I want to upgrade, I want to go up to that 3,500 square foot house, I want to get out into the suburbs or just whatever, maybe just move to a bigger house that's a little bit more accommodating for them, that second move up house, they're in a situation where they can't do that because that house doesn't exist, right? And when that house doesn't exist, that house that's in the $500,000, $600,000, $700,000, $800,000 range, when that house isn't for sale, well, they're not going to move out of their condo or townhome, and so that affects the people who are renting or just want to buy a home. They're living with parents or they're coming from out of state. They just want something small. Though not a lot of those homes are existent right now either. So we're in this spot where, the $1 million homes are still competitive. We're still seeing competition up to $1 million in our market. So we're seeing competition there. And a lot of people who are in the, let's say, $600,000, $700,000 homes, they're looking to move up to $1 million, let's say, just in theory, right? Well, if that $1 million home doesn't exist, then the $600,000 home buyer is not going to be able to sell their home because they don't have anywhere to go, which means that the move-up home buyer from the starter home is not going to be able to move from there, and it just is this domino effect all the way down the chain, and nobody is able to move. So inventory is very constrained right now. That's one of the main reasons, is because there's not enough out there. The other thing, like I said, is that new construction is backed up as well. Commodity prices have gone up. There's rations basically on concrete. You can only, last I heard, I've got a client who's in concrete. He said he can only get concrete 4 days a week because they're trying to spread it out and give everybody, enough to kind of keep their jobs going, right? They don't want to kind of shaft anybody, who's willing to pay for it. So they understand, hey, everybody needs to get their fair share. We're only going to be able to do it 4 days a week, because we just can't get enough of that right now. And some of that is coming, I've heard, from Mexico. is a lot of the concrete issue, and then the lumber issue is coming from Canada and a lot of the tariffs and imports and those macroeconomics that's a little bit over my head as far as getting those materials in. So concrete is behind, lumber's behind, appliances are behind. It seems like everything is just super expensive right now and really slow. Now at this point you might be thinking, well, Cody, should I move forward? Should I move to Utah and buy a house? Should I overspend? Should I offer $50,000 or $100,000 above to be able to get this home? Well, in this market, yes, it may seem like you're overpaying, but to be totally honest, I don't know that we're going to see a major correction. A lot of people say, hey, the market's going to crash. We're going to see these prices come back down. They just can't be sustainable at this price. Well, I mean, I don't know. I disagree. I think that the prices will be somewhat sustainable. And I think that if we see those prices level out, that's going to be a more realistic situation than seeing those prices drop significantly. Now, I could be wrong. Who knows? Maybe there's another world event that just totally upends everybody's life, but I don't see the demand for Utah slowing down anytime soon. People want to live here. They want the opportunity that's here with jobs and careers, and they also want the access to outdoors. So when you have all of that stuff, people are going to continue moving here to Utah. And when they do that, well, if there's not enough inventory, then prices are going up, and they are going to go up, and they're going to have to pay a higher price for that home. I don't think we're going to see a major price correction here in Utah. Now, in other areas that could happen, we could see price corrections in other states or other cities, but here in Utah, northern Utah, southern Utah, anywhere here, I don't think we're going to see a big price correction. I think, at worst, if you call it worst, prices would level out for a while, and we might have flat prices for a while. But after, a year or 2 years, we want to see those prices continue to climb, right? That's the thing with real estate, is it always continues to go up. At least it has over the last couple hundred years, right? And if it's not going up, well, then you've probably got bigger issues, So we want to see that real estate continue to go up over time. But best case scenario right here in Utah, if we saw prices, the appreciation slow down a little bit, I think that would actually be healthy for everybody involved. I don't think prices will go negative. I think at the most, they'll probably just level out. So that's number one. Now, number two, the second thing I want to talk about here is interest rates. Interest rates right now are still incredibly low. When you look at an interest rate and you say, okay, I'm going to pay 3.2%, I'm going to pay 3.5%, even 4%, which they're much lower than that right now. But let's say worst case, interest rates were at 4%. When you really factor that out and you take into account the time value of money and you take into account of inflation that's going to happen, whether it's high inflation, low inflation, it doesn't matter. When you take that into account and you look at what you're going to be paying on interest, the interest you're paying right now is extremely cheap. You're going to be able to capture a lot of that money back in the form of free money because you're going to be earning more in the future. You're going to have more wealth in the future, which is going to allow you to pay down that loan easier with each year that goes on. So when you look at that and you say, okay, inflation is going to happen, but the interest rate that I've got on this loan is so low that if I plan to hold this home for 5, 10, 15, 20 years, when you really look at it that way, you're going to see that you're going to be able to pay down that loan much easier than you would be if you had a high interest rate. Now, as interest rates come down, we do see prices increase at an accelerating rate. Basically, what this means is that if interest rates go down, let's say 0.5%, we're going to see prices jump up because people are now able to afford more and still have the same monthly payment. For most people who are out there buying a house, they're looking at, hey, what's my monthly payment? I'm going to get a loan for $500,000. My loan payment is going to be, $2,500 or whatever that number may be. Well, if interest rates go down, they can now afford a $550,000 loan and still have that same $2,500 payment. So as long as interest rates stay low, we will see prices continue to go up. If interest rates start climbing up to slow down the inflation that the federal government is expecting to see this year, well, then we could see home prices level off just slightly, or at least that appreciation is going to slow down. So that's the second thing that I want to talk about here in this video. One last thing that I want to point out really quick is that another fix we could have to slow down the appreciation we're seeing in our market is to increase the amount of inventory that's out there. This is going to happen by lumber and concrete and appliances and all of these different materials becoming more readily available, but also allowing the builders and developers to go out there and build more units, bigger units, multifamily type stuff, and be able to put more housing units on the market. The reason why prices keep going up is because the builders cannot keep up with what's out there. They're not able to build quick enough enough because of supply issues. They're not able to build quick enough because of permits, because of cities or residents who say, hey, I don't want you to build that here in this area. Go somewhere else and build it, right? And so we kind of have this problem where people always say, hey, housing's getting unaffordable. We need more housing. But then as soon as the builder says, okay, cool, I want to build a condo unit over here, well, everybody's not too happy about that, right? They're saying, oh, the traffic, oh, this and this and that. And so it just causes this issue. But that is something else that we need to get fixed here in Utah, in California, in Texas, in Florida, in a lot of these different places that are just seeing massive amounts of growth. We need to get these changes implemented. So obviously I don't have any control over that, but that is something that would make a difference. So it's something to kind of just keep an eye on in the back of our mind. So to wrap this up, I know I've kind of rambled on here in this video, but what I want to say is look, honestly, it's going to be tough to get into a home right now. You're going to have to offer above the asking price. You're going to have to waive your inspection, your financing, or your appraisal contingencies, perhaps even all three of them. You're going to have to guarantee cash above a low appraisal if that happens. And there's some other terms that we may have to throw in the offer as well in order to get your offer accepted. Now, that's just the reality of what the situation that we're in. Let's say that the median price right now today here in May is sitting at $450,000. Well, let's say you decide to wait. Maybe you wait until September or October. More inventory comes onto the market. There's not as many buyers because we're not in the spring or summer rush. Maybe you can get into a home a little bit easier, but instead of offering $500,000 on that $450,000 house, you might now be offering, that's a $50,000 difference. You might now be offering, let's say, $35,000 difference, but now that house, instead of being priced at $450,000, is now priced at $485,000. So when you offer $35,000 over, that puts you at $520,000 for the median price. So this isn't just me being a real estate agent trying to sell you and say, hey, buy a house now, sell. It's not my goal to just sell everybody, try and sell people a house when they don't need one, right? My goal is to help people make that move here to Salt Lake City and also make a wise financial decision. Well, for myself, I do think the wisest financial decision is to try and buy sooner than later. I think prices will continue to going up, and I think that when you look at that $500,000 house today, you might say, no way that could be worth $550,000 or $600,000 next year or the year after that. But, I was saying that 2 years ago. I looked at a $300,000 house and I was like, there's no way this would ever be $400,000. Well, today, those homes are selling for $400,000, $420,000, $450,000, and it's just absolutely nuts. So that's my opinion. I think, look, it's hard to get into the market, but if you really want to buy a house here in Utah, unfortunately, I think it's only going to get worse in the sense that you're going to see prices continue to go up and you're going to end up paying more later on. Plus, then you don't have as much certainty about getting a very low interest rate. So hopefully that was helpful for you guys. Thank you so much for watching all the way to the end. If you're making a move here to Salt Lake City, Utah, to Provo, to Park City, Saratoga Springs, Eagle Mountain, anywhere in between, make sure to reach out to me. I would love to hear from you. My information is here on the screen. Call, text, or email anytime. I'd absolutely love to hear from you. Give me a thumbs up here on the video. Subscribe to the channel if you want to learn more about what it's like to work, eat, sleep, live, and play here along the Wasatch Front. And with that said, guys, I'll catch you in the next one.